Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels took his state backwards on Wednesday, signing legislation to make Indiana the 23rd right-to-work state in the nation. It's the first state in 10 years to go right to work, and also the first state in the nation's manufacturing belt to adopt a right-to-work law, which starves labor unions of much-needed funding. So what can workers in Indiana expect now? First off, lower wages, because it's really a right to work for less, as the average worker makes $5,000 less in wages in a year in right-to-work for less states versus free bargaining states. They can also expect less health care, as 21% fewer workers on average receive employee-sponsored health care in right-to-work for less states. And finally, workers can expect more workplace injuries. Without unions to ensure safe working conditions, right-to-work for less states experience 51% more workplace injuries and deaths. So the only winners here are the transnational CEOs who don't give a damn about their workers and don't give a damn about democracy. Because that's what unions are, democracy in the workplace. And they're just as essential to creating a stable middle class as democracy is in our government. So Republican Governor Mitch Daniels didn't just declare war on unions in Indiana, he also declared war on the middle class and democracy. Federal workers are screwed. Republicans in the House of Representatives voted to extend the pay freeze for federal workers, preventing average Americans who work for maintaining our commons from getting a modest pay increase to keep up with the cost of living in America. President Obama proposed a meager 0.5% pay increase for federal workers, but even that was too much for Republicans who'd rather see all government workers fired, as many Republican governors around the nation have already done. Since the president took office, over 500,000 government workers have lost their jobs thanks to Republican budget cuts. We need to end this war on public workers and realize that government jobs, like being a teacher, a police officer, meat inspector, not second-class jobs. Instead, they're some of the most essential jobs for our nation's safety and prosperity. In the best of the rest of the news, 2012 might be the year for marijuana legalization after California voters narrowly voted down pot legalization in 2010 by a 53-46 margin. Marijuana advocates will have another shot at it this year when the Regulate Marijuana Like Wine Act of 2012 goes on the ballot in November. According to the most recent poll, a whopping 62% of Californians support the act that would essentially legalize pot. The poll also showed that 80% of people in the Golden State, believe state and federal drug laws have failed and the new approaches need to be taken. Votes will also be taken in November in Colorado and Washington state for marijuana legalization. Expect the alcohol and tobacco industries to gear up for a fight as they hope to continue to corner the market on mind-altering substances. California's San Onofre nuclear plant had to be shut down unexpectedly this week after radioactive water was discovered leaking out of the Unit 3 reactor within the plant. Nuclear officials claim the leak is fully contained within the concrete dome. Meanwhile, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission warned that nuclear plants in the eastern and central United States might not be able to withstand earthquakes. The NRC is giving operators at 96 vulnerable plants across the nation 4 long years to conduct seismic tests to determine if their plants can withstand new earthquake projections. But nuclear critics worry that the NRC is moving way too slow to address this threat that has the potential of bringing a Fukushima-like disaster to the United States. America is afraid, very afraid. The size of the so-called terrorist no-fly list more than doubled last year. The government lowered the standard for how one gets on the list, expanding it from 10,000 people in 2010 to over 21,000 people today. Still, federal officials will not disclose who exactly is on the list and how exactly someone gets on the list in the first place. As long as our security is based on the erosion of civil liberties, then we've lost sight of who we are as Americans. We shouldn't be acting like terrified Dick Cheneys. We're the home of the brave. All eyes are on Wall Street as Facebook filed an initial public offering with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The social networking giant is trying to raise $5 billion. And estimates are the company is actually worth between $75 and $100 billion. It's the largest IPO since Google went public in 2004. Wall Street speculates the IPO could generate 1,000 millionaires overnight, as if that's what our nation really needs right now, more millionaires. The nation's focus shouldn't be on creating a handful of millionaires. It should be on creating a million-strong middle class by bringing back manufacturing jobs to the United States, by ending tax breaks for transnational corporations that ship American jobs overseas, and putting back in place protections for domestic industries. Reality TV star Donald Trump will endorse Newt Gingrich for president today. Gingrich is coming off a landslide loss in the Florida primary, where he was outspent on TV ads, airing only 200 ads compared to over 13,000 funded by Mitt Romney's rich Wall Street friends. So Newt could use more than Trump's endorsement. He could use some of Trump's money. Donald, meanwhile, seems pretty sour on Romney, who declined to attend Trump's debate last December. It's unclear why Monkey Hair is getting so close to Gingrich, who has little to no chance of winning the nomination, let alone the presidency. Some are speculating it sets up perfectly for Trump to announce a run as a third-party candidate when Gingrich loses. I think that Donald just needs divorce lawyer advice, and Newt's the guy to turn to for that. And finally, Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow this morning, meaning we're in store for 6 more weeks of winter. But with an unseasonably warm winter that's seen average temperatures 5 degrees above the normal in the Northeast, who needs summer anyway? And that's the way it is today, Thursday, February 2nd, 2012. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.